3 tips to be an assertive communicator. What is an assertive communicator? An assertive communicator is someone who believes in a win-win communication. I win, but you also win. Okay, so what are the other types of communication? We have passive communicator, which is actually the opposite of an assertive communicator, wherein a passive communicator is someone who would oftentimes just stay quiet and will not be able to confidently express his or her ideas or suggestions. Aggressive behavior, on the other hand, is someone who's rude, who can be overly confident in terms of expressing his thoughts, his opinions, or suggestions. And finally, the fourth type is a passive aggressive communicator, wherein at times the person would just simply say yes, but behind your back, he's already talking to others about the things that he or she doesn't like about the institution or simply about you. So those are the 4 types of communicator. But in the corporate world, what is the ideal? Okay, amongst the 4, the ideal is we all have to be an assertive communicator. There are times that we can be a passive communicator, but more often than not, we have to practice how to become an assertive communicator. Now, how can we become more assertive? First of all, it's important that we have a self-assessment or self-awareness. When you assess yourself in terms of what are my limiting beliefs, then you'll be able to identify the underlying reasons or reasons why you are having difficulty in becoming an assertive communicator. Okay? And then second would be practice assertiveness or confident language. There are certain languages that we use daily that can actually be a sign of lack of confidence. Say, for example, instead of saying, I'm not sure about that, you can instead say, let me check about this and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. That's something you can tell to your customers if you're not yet certain about their inquiry. Or let's say, for example, instead of telling yourself, I'm not that good enough, we can instead say, we all have unique capabilities and talents. Or it could be like this. Sometimes you have this tendency to look at customers differently or other people's in a bad light, other people in a bad light. Say, instead of thinking that customers are cynical, they are irate, you can instead mention that customers are my friends, these. Now, these things, this mental dialogue or these conversations would somehow affect the way we behave because it would affect our mentality, our feelings, definitely affecting our words and behavior. The last one is practice how to say no. I know that saying no can be very challenging. It's difficult for me to say no. I'm a yes person. That's how we were brought up. Now, how can we say no effectively without offending anyone? Make sure that when you say no, you have already explored all the possible options. For example, there's a certain request for you to do, or there's a certain favor or what have you that you need to prioritize. Then you can say no politely. All right, but make sure that you have to meet each other amicably, meaning you learn how to compromise. You have to be flexible enough and make sure that before you even say no, you have already exhausted all the possible options. So again, the 3 tips: self-assessment, practicing confident language, and learning to say no. Thank you, everyone.